Hello, this is Catherine from Sterling Inc. I am back with another video. Today I'm so excited to talk about my study notebooks. So in my previous video where I walked through my 2024 planner setup, I said that I had set up a few notebooks and planners for studying. So today I'm going to be going through those in depth and just to kind of go over how I'm using them and what I'm studying and how I'm using each of the sections and such. So I have quite a few books here. As you guys know, I'm using only one planner for my main planning purposes, but I am using a few different planners, meaning dated planners from our shop for studying purposes. So I have a few things over here. So I'll just show you guys kind of what they are, and then I'll go into each of them in more detail. So the first one, this is not really for taking notes or anything, but this is just mainly to track my hours and how I'm spending my days, breaking down like exactly what the heck I'm doing all day. And this, I started this from January 1st, as you can see, and I'm not using the monthly section or any of the other sections in the front, but I'm just using the weekly portion and also the notes section a little bit in the back. And this I'm just using to track my time, like I said, and I was able to kind of analyze how I'm using my time and then figure out where I can take out extra time or squeeze in some time to do what I want to do, such as reading and studying. So that's how I'm using this one. This is a compact B6 full year planner. So that's what I'm using this for. And I have right here, okay, so let me show you this one first. So this is a N2 horizontal orientation planner. So you can see this is a horizontal orientation planner in the full year version, meaning that it has a whole bunch of notes pages, 368 pages. So this one I'm using for homeschool planning. This is not strictly for me studying, but I wanted to show this anyway because it does pertain to, studying and learning. So that's what I'm using this for. And this is obviously for my kiddos. And this one is sort of my main study notebook. So this is an A5 size. Full year. The cover is from Vanderspec. It's a custom. I got it a long time ago, and my husband was using this, and I absolutely love this cover so much. He dinged it up a little bit, but I really love it. I really love it. This one is from Giglio. This is a slim appunto in undyed leather. So this one is the green colored A5 full year. So that's it has a whole lot of notes pages, and this one I'm using for studying science and nonfiction, basically science and history mostly. And I also have two extra here. Both of them are M1 size, which is equivalent to a traveler's notebook standard size. So it's very long and narrow. It's the same height as an A5, just narrower. And this is the vertical orientation, and then I have one in the horizontal orientation right here. This cover is from Vanderspec, and this cover is from Giglio. Both of them are meant for, traveler size notebooks. So this one in green I'm using for learning Japanese. And this one I'm using to kind of improve my native languages because I don't really speak them that often, and I feel like I'm kind of losing them. And one thing that I've learned is that you can never be too fluent in a language. You can always improve and become better and better, even if it's your mother tongue. So this is intended to use for that purposes, to kind of improve my mother tongue, and that's not English. So I just don't get to speak them often, and I don't get to write in them often or at all. So I definitely want to kind of improve them, and that's what this notebook is for. So I'm going to just go through them one by one, and I'm going to drop timestamp in the description box and also the first comment, so you can just go through them if you're only interested in one notebook versus the other one. If you're only interested in one notebook, or just you can go through the ones that you want to see, and you can skip ahead. Okay, so the first one I want to show you is, the first one I want to show you is the homeschool planner. So this one I showed in my previous video, but I thought I've been using it a little bit more, so I thought I would show you kind of like how it has progressed and how I'm still using it. So like I said, this is a horizontal orientation version of the N2, which is equivalent to Hobonichi week size, but it is much thicker than the Hobonichi. And I've been carrying this around without a cover at all, so the edges are a little bit dinged up, but that's not a problem, because as I use it, it's not going to show up at all, because you can see that these parts have been used, this hasn't been used. So as you use them, the pages kind of split apart a little bit, and you won't be able to read the scratches and whatnot. So now I actually put it in a cover because I wanted to just protect the edges a little bit more. But I still prefer the gold to white, because at the end of the year, I feel like all of my notebooks with white edges get so dirty. It's like a dirty sneaker that you can't clean. But the gold one kind of has this patinaed, beautiful like effect once you finish using the book. So I do prefer the gold still, but there's always an option, so you can choose whatever you want. So now in here, I haven't used the monthly. I intended to use this as a zoom out view of what we learned, me and my kid. So if I go through the weekly section, this is where I kind of summarize what we did that day and outside of the curriculum. And here I would just write down some extra stuff if I run out of room over here. And then I just write kind of any kind of comments that I wanted to put down. So that's how I've been using it. And I have been putting in pictures of his crafts. And over here, we skipped 2 weeks of school because we both got sick. Like the entire family was sick down to the little baby. So I thought, let's just skip it. And we were doing other stuff, but not formal curriculum stuff. So I didn't write anything down. And then this week we kind of returned to full-on homeschooling again. And by that, I just mean that we're following the curriculum. We're doing all the lessons. We're doing all the workbooks. So I jotted those down, and I write down like any kind of just fun improvements that he's been making. And these are, pictures of his crafts that we did. And yeah, so he's a little painting. We did an experiment. So more of that. This was a couple weeks ago. He did an experiment with coloring and dye. So yeah, that's how I've been using this section. And in the back, I'm using the blank pages for writing down sort of like the schedule of the curriculum. And I just highlight over what we actually did versus what we didn't do, just as a record. And then on the right hand side, I just colored in a tab to show week 1, week 2, week 3, and this goes along with the curriculum. We actually started the curriculum, you're supposed to start it in September, I guess, but it's for kindergarten, and he's a little bit younger than that age. So and also September was too busy. We couldn't do anything like that. So we're starting in January, the first week. And at the rate we're going, we're probably going to finish before September rolls around. So hopefully the next cycle we can start from September, because that'll be nice, because it'll coincide with the seasonal learning that they're doing in terms of like, Thanksgiving and all of that. And I don't have to like take them out and then customize it. So we'll see. So yeah, I just highlight over what we did. These are some of the notes for when I'm pre-reading. And again, this is the curriculum. I think we did more than that. I have to go back and highlight this. This was the week that was a little bit like, we were just about to get sick, and it was just, the office was kind of crazy too. So it was a little bit chaotic here. But we definitely came back and sort of got back on track very quickly here. So I just highlighted over all the stuff that we did, some questions to ask for pre-reading, for the read alouds that we're doing. Yeah, my original intention was I wanted to write down his responses under here, but then we were just going through them really quickly, so I didn't really get to do that. It would have just taken too long, but it's okay. I mean, they're not really I don't think it's too necessary. Maybe later down the track I will, do that. So again, these are just like some pre-reading notes. This is week 4 and week 5. I don't really mind changing up the colors. I think it's really fun, especially it's for little kids. So I just think it's really colorful and nice. So I've been just changing up the highlighter color. So that's why you're seeing that. This week we did all of them except for these. For some reason, the notebooks, they were missing some practice sheets, which is unfortunate. Then, yeah, this week we're testing out another curriculum because Sterling, he's been like really asking to do school like every single day, and I'm not forcing him, he's forcing me. So we're like running out of stuff to do, and I didn't want to just keep on advancing because then it's like he's learning too quickly. I'd rather him just kind of really get a good foundation. So I was researching another curriculum anyway, so I got this one and just to see how he does, and he definitely like really enjoyed both of them, and we're just loving both of them. So now I have some ideas as to how to like combine them and pick and choose for next year, so we don't just buy everything. So but I definitely wanted to see both of them just to kind of figure out which one is right for us. I think at the beginning of homeschool journey, you definitely have to like try out different things because your kids are different from other people's kids. Doesn't matter how many YouTube reviews you watch, your kid is going to react a little bit differently to the things that other people are using. So I just really, I knew that I had to just suck it up and like test out different things. So I'm glad that we did that because now I definitely have much more clear idea on like what we want to do. This is the last week, I think, and yeah, he did really, really well. He's been loving the lessons. We did all of them. Like with the chapter books, we're just going much further than like we already finished next week's chapter books. So we're jumping into the new one. Yeah, so this is the next week. I just prepared the lessons. And here I am mixing the two and I'm cutting out some stuff that I don't want to do from one versus the other one. So yeah, that's how I'm using this one. And I plan on using this exact in the same way where I just write down any kind of pre-reading notes for myself. Any kind of preparation I need to do, I'll write down here. And one more thing is here in the front where it says goal breakdown. That's where we're writing down all the books that he's read and like how many times we've read them. If you have little kids, like you never go through a book just one time. They ask you to repeat one, many, many times. So I just thought it would be fun to kind of write down how many times we read certain books. Then you kind of get a sense of like what they loved, and it would just be fun to look back on as a record. Actually, I thought I lost this book just yesterday. I couldn't find it anywhere, and my heart was like broken because it has like pictures of these projects, and like I just love this book so much. I've been like just so focused on this this month especially. I've been so focused on his homeschool stuff, so that's been really important to me. And so now let me go through my sort of main study notebook, I'll call it. So this is obviously a planner, and why am I using a planner as a study notebook instead of just a regular notebook? One, I think there's some kind of excitement of with planners. It has the dates. It has like more structure than just a plain notebook. And I don't know, I can't explain to you, but it's just like there's something much more exciting in a planner. And especially with this planner because it's sort of a hybrid between a really, really thick notebook, not just like a thin notebook, a thick notebook and planner. So it's like it's got everything. It's like you're getting like that highest like configuration of a tool. So that really excites me, and I wanted to try this out, and I already had an idea of like how to go about it. And because previously I've like in a couple years ago I've used planners for other purposes than just planning, and I've seen like the results and the positive aspect of that. So I knew this would really work for me. So let me show you guys. So the back side has 369 pages, and that is a huge notebook. Like normally when you buy a notebook, it won't be that thick. So this is definitely a chunker of a notebook, and it also has like vertical weekly section. It has the monthly section. It has you know, quarterly trunking section. So it's got everything. And so the draw for me here is that with planners, I can feel the passage of time instead of just using a plain notebook where, you know, you can use it for eternity and nothing really matters. But with planners, because it's like a time thing, I can feel and sense the passage of time, and that helps me when it comes to things like learning and kind of, you know, something that I want to make progress on, because it's kind of showing me, hey, it's already March. Where are you? What are you doing? What have you done so far? So let me explain to you guys how I've been using this. I know a lot of people, when they, especially like people who are new to planner world and people who are new to using notebooks, it gets a little bit kind of overwhelming when you open a new notebook and you're like, well, how am I going to use this? There's so many pages. So with our planner, I would definitely suggest, this is just a suggestion and what works for me. When I first started using this notebook, I started about a week before, and I call that the priming week. The week before January 1st. And that's just when I kind of, you know, get my feet wet and, you know, start jotting some stuff so that it's not so intimidating on January 1st. Because, yeah, it is intimidating. I don't want to ruin it. Although I don't think it's possible to ruin a notebook unless you just don't use it. Then you're definitely ruining the notebook when you don't use it. So I started using it on December 25th, and it was a day off for us, and I thought it was just a perfect time to kind of start jotting some stuff down. And I knew I wanted to split things into 2 columns. That's just kind of my format on how I use notebooks, because I do better when the column is narrower. I can't write this wide. And I like the page to be a little bit fuller. So I just picked up this new book on commonplace notebooks, and I just started reading it, and I jotted some stuff down. It feels a little bit unnatural, but I really enjoyed it. I still didn't know how I wanted to use the front parts. I had some ideas, but I definitely had some ideas, but I'm definitely not using this the way I originally thought I was going to use it. So that's why I think it's important to kind of just start from the blank pages in the back and sort of get a feel of what you like and how you want this notebook to be and what kind of life it wants to take on. So that's what I did. I started just writing, and even January 5th, I didn't know how I wanted to use the front, or like I knew the original way I wanted to use it was not going to work. So I just continued studying, reading whatever I was reading. I'm reading this humongous book on world history. It's from Penguin. It's more than like 1,000 pages. I am halfway through. I think I'm halfway through. I'm like probably 40% in. And I just continued reading it. I took some notes. You know, and it's like I rarely have time to do that, so I didn't get to do it too much, but I just, you know, whatever time I had, I just sat down and wrote down notes, and I kept on going. But then, like, by the first week, I told you guys that I was doing this, was tracking my time, and I realized I really just do not have time to sit down with a book like this and then take down notes like this. That's like the fantasy version of how I want to study. I just don't have time to do that. If I had time, yeah, that's how I would love to study. So I realized, you know, something's got to change. And if you're interested, I'll just quickly touch upon how I originally wanted to use the weekly section, and maybe that's the way that you can use it. So originally I wanted to, in the weekly section, kind of plan out what I want to study on top every single day. All right, like, okay, these are the pages I'm going to read for this book, and so on, just keep on writing up top. The bottom, I will use each column to sort of like summarize what I learned that day in my own words every single day. Okay, of course, that's like crazy because that's too much of a commitment, and I know that that would not work for me. I would just abandon this book. And I quickly realized that that's just not going to work for me. And at that point, I watched a video. It's a Korean scientist, I believe, and he does a lot of self-education, and he uses his notebook as a tool to basically memorize all the stuff that he's learned so that it becomes truly his. And the notebook is not there to reference, it's just a tool for him to like truly just make everything his. So that like really clicked in my head, and I thought, wait a second. The reason why I was like panicking over this a little bit at the beginning was because I was thinking, oh, this is going to be a commonplace book. How am I going to like index it so that I can go back and find the information on all of that? Well, the truth is I'm probably never gonna go back to it to reference a certain thing that I've read this way, because honestly that's just not very practical. So I thought, okay, it makes sense to use this as a tool for me to absorb the information the best way that I can, and that way, like whatever I read, I'll at least retain maybe 50-60% of it, and I'll just keep on reading more and more, and I'll just reinforce the information I already learned. Okay, so that makes sense now. And I thought, okay, this is going to be a tool that I use to sort of like make the information my own. So from here on, what I did was, whenever I had a little bit of time, this is my Kindle Scribe, and I realized that even reading on a physical notebook is a luxury. I'd much prefer to read on physical notebooks, but that's just impossible with like two little kids. Like one little kid is running around and constantly throwing himself on top of me, and the other one is tiny baby who's like flailing around and either on me or on my husband, or like needs something. So reading a physical notebook is just impossible. Like I can't be holding a book and also taking care of a baby or my kid. So I've accepted the fact that for the foreseeable future, I guess, I can only read on Kindle, which is fine. So this is my Kindle Scribe. I'm using a cover. This is the Kindle cover, the pink one, and it's already like, getting a little bit frail, like what do you call this? Like flailing off. So yeah, so this is how I'm reading now, and I'll show you. So let's say I'm reading Maps of Time, right? That's the book that I'm reading right now, which is on the big history, which is just so fascinating. I'm so excited that I even like found out about that phrase, because that's the exact subject that I'm the most interested in. I was excited that I found a book on world history, just like one big book, but big history is really what I'm interested in, how the universe formed and how everything came about. So this has been a phenomenal book. So how am I reading this? When I'm reading, I'm not satisfied by just highlighting. Obviously, you can highlight whatever you want on Kindle, and you can use that on any kind of a Kindle. But when I highlight, I just kind of forget about it. And even when I go back to see all the highlights together, it doesn't really connect. It's not personal to me. So what I've been doing is, for example, I'll be reading a passage and I'll say here, in all these ways, the life histories of stars are all vital component of the story of life on Earth. So then I would just highlight this. If that is meaningful to me, then I just click note, and I'll just handwrite, sort of like summarize that in my own words. I'll probably write star life on Earth. Like, I don't care if my handwriting is ugly because it's just on Kindle. Who cares? As long as it's legible, it's fine. So then I close it. It'll automatically be right here. So after I finish reading a few pages, this is what I will do. Go to the annotation section, and this is where, see here, you just see that newest note that I just created. But I've just been kind of writing short little, like, it's almost like an index card of notes with arrows, and like this is more similar to how I would take notes on a notebook, except that it's even better because I don't have to be conscious about keeping it neat or anything, and I'm drawing arrows, I'm drawing diagrams, I'm having so much fun doing this. And after I finish reading for the week, so I'll read this like for a week, little by little. Sometimes I only read one page at a time. Then I kind of come back to here and sort of go over what I did here on these pages, on the annotations, and I'll just transfer that onto my notebook. And that process, yeah, like previously it would seem a little repetitive and like, why am I copying this down again? But because the purpose now is to use this as a tool to help me make the information my own, this process actually kind of solidifies that information in my head, and with like little pictures and everything and rewriting it, it helps me to visualize the information and understand it a little bit better by just doing it a few times. And then after I finish writing it here, and I'll just read over it again and try to understand what I just wrote and really kind of put that in my head. And then what I do is the output. So this is all input, right? Inputting into my head. And now the next step I do is outputting. So what I do is I would go to the weekly portion, and I treat this just as 2 page per week blank notes pages. And on a blank spread like this with nothing on it, I'll just start writing whatever I can remember about what I learned during that week. So here I am just writing down like what I know. Like obviously some dates are like very blurry, and those I will infill later by comparing this with what I wrote in the back. And also if there's like gaps of information, then I'll just infill it by doing some Google searches. And that way I'm much more connected to the information that I'm learning, and it's registering so much better. And I've tried to do this without first copying down like what I did in the back. I tried to do this without like first putting down the notes, and I couldn't do it because it was just one pass of the information was just not enough, and I couldn't like output anything. Like sometimes I can spit out like 1 or 2 terms, but I couldn't go further than that. And that just showed me that this step is absolutely necessary. So that's what I've been doing. I'll go back and highlight things, and to make it more interesting, I'll just print out some photos related to what I studied there. So here I was learning about Wuzetian and Tang Dynasty, so that was just so interesting. And here we were going over the Japanese history, early Japanese history. So I put Tale of Genji here. And this also serves as like a visual reminder of what I did that week. And it's just really fun. And here I have just a photo of Star Nursery, a beautiful stuff. And I just wrote down the stuff that I remember, I highlighted it. It's just been so much fun. The picture here, photo of Horsehead Nebula. And then these 2 weeks, I didn't do anything, but I'm not worried about it. I'm sure like these readings are usually from like 1 day of reading. So I know like if in the future, when I have a little bit more time, I'll be able to fill these up, no problem. And as in like, I'll probably run out of room if it's just 2 pages per week. So if I need more room, I'll just go back and fill those in. So here I was learning about, see, I don't have a picture here, so it's less obvious what I did. But we were doing gravity and, you know, like the stars, how stars are formed, cosmic background, radiation. And here I was actually learning about supernova. And this one is the newest book that I'm reading. I wanted to like, I'm not pausing on this book, Maps of Time, but I just got recommended this book. And I started reading it, and I just couldn't stop. It was so good, and I was already really into it. And then he mentioned, the author is right here, William Zinsser. He mentioned that he went to the same school as me, so that was even cooler because he was mentioning some place names, and it just brought like all these fond memories back. So that was really fun. And these are the books that kind of popped up from reading this, and I definitely want to go back and check those. So yeah, here he's talking about writing as a tool to kind of learn any subjects. And there were a lot of definitions on writing, which I just kind of wrote down the notes that I took, but obviously it's like all scattered. And I realized that as I was doing that, I realized that he was talking about like different kind of definitions of writing, like writing is this, writing is this, writing is this. So I just put them all together in this form. Writing is, you know, like these things. So it's like a nice, concise list for me to look at. And so that's where we are right now. And so, oh yeah, so this is the monthly section. And what I'm doing here is I'm just going back to what I learned that month. And I'm just like writing down anything that I kind of remember, the key information. And it's just fun. It's like the more time you're outputting and practicing that as if like I'm teaching someone else, the better it is, because you're learning about what you don't know and what you're mixed up on and stuff like that. And I also put some photos here just to make it more fun. And quarterly section, originally I was using it to just kind of track what I read, but I'm like not too kept up with this, but I can always go back and just see when I did what. And here I thought it would be fun, since I got some book recommendations, I just put them here so that later when I'm looking for a new book to read, I can just go back to here, and then I have a a little TBR to look at, to be read list. So yeah, that's how I'm using my main study book, and I will show you how I'm using this one for Japanese study. So let me put this away. This is a vertical planner. It's in the M1 size, like I said. It's the Traveler's Notebook standard size, and in the back I have 369 pages of notes pages. And that's why, like, I mean, I love our planners, obviously, because I made them, but I just think it's just so, there are so many ways of using this, because it's essentially a really, really thick notebook with some weekly pages in the front, like a thinner, like only this much is the planner, and this is the notebook. So it's mainly a notebook with some calendar pages in the front. So you can use this as any kind of project planning book if you wanted, where you need to take a lot of notes. So in the back, it's the same thing I kind of started on a week before the new year started, and I just sort of started using it without really thinking about exactly how I would use this planner, even though I did have some ideas, and the idea was to kind of write like a diary every day in Japanese, and obviously that's also crazy. Like I would just not be able to keep up with that. So I'll show you how I've been doing this. So I just kept on using these pages to use as practice for new vocab and such. And like I said, the first 2 months I've been so focused on like homeschooling and like researching curriculum and like thinking about how I want to structure kindergarten in the first few grades for Sterling, that I've just been like, all my energy has been in that. So I haven't really had too much time to work on my own studies, which is Japanese and also this one. So I'm just trying to do the absolute minimum. And again, because it's a planner, it kind of just reminds me time is passing. Hey, like, a little bit counts. So just, even if it's just a little bit, just do a little bit a day, that sort of thing. So I've just been using the back for kind of practicing new vocabs with the textbook that I'm using. And in the front, actually, what I decided to do was I would treat this as one kind of section, and I would just write a little diary for that week, like what we did. And of course, it's been like, probably more than a decade since I studied Japanese, so it's a little bit daunting to kind of come up with sentences to write diary. Like, it's not that easy in a foreign language. So what I was doing was I would write in English on Google Translate. Like, don't like, I know it's cringy, but it does work, and it's much better than not doing anything. So I think in learning, in any kind of learning, output is so important. So this is my form of doing output. So I would put in English like what I did and what I want to write for that entry, and then it would translate it to me, and I would actually retranslate it into different languages like English, Chinese, Korean, just to make sure that it doesn't sound weird. And then it would pass like my first look, and I'll just write it down. And even if it's a little bit awkward or wrong, it's still better than not writing anything, because I can eventually correct what's awkward and whatnot, because I can just ask my friend like how it looks. I'm not gonna bug her every single week, obviously, but like at the end of the like 3 months, maybe I can just get her to look over it just to make sure that nothing looks really weird. But still, you get to learn like some common phrases that you otherwise you wouldn't if you weren't doing this. And I think it doesn't matter how many vocab words you learn, it's no use if you can't like spit it back out, right? So I need to first know the phrases and things that I will be using if I were to speak to someone. So this is really important. So I would just write it down, and I would highlight sort of what words that I'm not sure on, or like even if I know it, I didn't know the kanji for it, or stuff like that. So first week I wrote that because I had a really bad deadline. I wasn't able to study Japanese and blah blah blah. Like that's okay. Like I'm still learning because I'm writing this. And then so I would just keep on going like this, and we're up to this week now. So I've been keeping up with that. This is like not that hard to keep up, but it's still a significant effort in like learning. So I would do that here, and I would highlight the things that I don't know. And there are a lot of repetitive things that happen. So it was good to kind of like learn how to say certain things repeatedly. And then I would go to, so this is that week and this week. So because I didn't really study Japanese, I had nothing to write here. So all I did was just like repeat writing this entry. And this way I could kind of familiarize myself with some of the kanjis and phrases. And this week I would just, I learned these words, so I just wrote those down to kind of practice. And then here again, I'm just copying down what I wrote there. And again, these are the words that I learned that week. So, and then this is the diary entry. It's just really, really good practice. And here, it just keeps on going like that. And then here, I'm using this book to learn like common things that Korean speaking people get confused on. So I'm just kind of writing that down here to remind myself what I learned there. And I copied down the diary entry, which is this one, and so I just kept on going. And here I actually just wrote down the words that I didn't know from that diary entry, and I wrote them down here. And yeah, I didn't get to finish. I'm probably gonna, today's the 3rd, so I'm going to go back and practice here. So that's how I'm using this one. And once I'm like on track with homeschooling, it becomes a little bit easier for me. I will definitely put in more time on doing my studies. And at the beginning of the year, it's always hard because we all set out these big goals, and it's just impossible to do everything all at once, especially when everything is new. So I think it's important to just accept that fact that it's not going to be perfect. You're not going to be doing everything every single day or even every week. It's as long as we're staying consistent, that's what matters the most, and not giving up and not feeling discouraged just because we missed a day or 2 days. It's what's more important is coming back and doing the hard work. So that's my Japanese. And right now, so like the I'm juggling these two and starting this homeschooling and obviously work and a new baby, but it's just like you have to just make sure one of them becomes a habit, and then you tag on another one, and then make sure that becomes a habit, and then tag on another one. So that's kind of the process I'm working on right now. But I just wanted to show you guys how I'm using the sections to kind of make it a little bit easier for me so that I don't get discouraged, but I'm still doing the work, even if it's just a little bit, because I think a year is made out of months, and months are made out of weeks, weeks are made out of days, and days are made out of, hours. So it's like every little bit that you do gets added up at the end of the year. And I think I can reflect on this year and then see that, hey, at least I did something. So lastly, this is, I told you that I'm using this to sort of refresh and improve my native language. I haven't been using it too much because it's not on my priority list. So once I'm like good with these three things, I will add this on. But this is being neglected a little bit. But I'm still really excited about it. So this is Korean, and I'm going to do Chinese as well here. But I'm just like, there are some talks on YouTube that I really love. So I'm just kind of copying down the stuff they say, and it's just beautiful the way they speak. So I'm just trying to improve on my speaking and just highlighting some of the expression that I wouldn't normally use and stuff like that. So as you can see, the last day I did it was January 11th, which is not good, but still not bad either, because I know I wasn't just like bumming around and like not doing anything. I was pretty busy with like for a really good reason, so I'm not sad about that. But I know that I'm really excited about this book, and I will be using it. And then here I'm just sort of like, it's not really like, it doesn't have to be a daily thing, but I'm just using this as a space to write down like phrases and things that people have said that really like affected me and made me, just inspired me and things like that. And even in these things that I'm watching, it's also learning. It's not just like watching a TV show or whatever. It's like actual, they're talking about how to write better, how to speak better, how to learn better. And it's all the same type of content. And there are a lot of content like that in Korean. So I am using that as a language where I absorb that sort of content, and also to improve my speaking and writing. And it's also a learning process for other type of information, right? So such as like how to learn better and how to like write better. Yeah, that's how I'm using this one. So it's not too much to show, but still, like, I'm really excited about it. So that's that. And so yeah, that's everything that I wanted to show you today. I had a lot of fun filming this video because I always nerd out and I love talking about studying. And I don't want people to think like, wow, like she is like forcing herself to like sit down. She's so self-disciplined and blah, blah, blah. I don't think I'm self-disciplined at all. I don't do anything that I don't like to do. I just happen to really love learning. And ever since I was little, I was like that. I just love learning. And I'm excited that, there's so much stuff to learn in the world. And it's not boring at all. Life is not boring. It's like it's very exciting to, look forward to new knowledge every day. So I like every little bit of time that I have, I want to dedicate to my knowledge project. I call this knowledge project. I just want to find out about everything that is there to know. Like, I mean, there's, even if I study every single day, every single minute until the day I die, even if I were like to live to 100, I wouldn't be able to learn everything, but still, that's the excitement, right? So that's what I wanted to share with you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know there are a lot of people out there who are like me, who love to learn and who like content like this, so I hope you enjoyed that. And I'm sorry and not sorry about how long this video is. My videos are always long, but I will put down the timestamp so you can, if you were to come back to this video, you can always jump around and watch what you want to watch. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.